Hello, and welcome to our Innovation Women Speak webinar series. My name is Bobby Carlton. I'm the founder of Innovation Women. Innovation Women is a visibility bureau for entrepreneurial, technical, and professional women. Our mission is to eliminate the all male, all pale, and often all stale panels you see so often at industry conferences and events. We connect women with speaking opportunities and we connect event managers with awesome speakers who just happen to be women. Innovation Women is so much more than a traditional speakers bureau. Event managers can search our database for free, and speakers pay just $120 a year to become a member. They get a profile on the platform and access to lists of speaking opportunities, as well as a number of other cool benefits. Here are a few of the great features you'll find on Innovation Women. It's a way for speakers, consultants, workshop leaders, and subject matter experts to get the visibility that drives careers and business success. Our Kickstart cohort program will help you get the most out of your Innovation Women membership. Our team provides you with guidance to help you perfect your profile and understand how to work with our extensive list of speaking opportunities. The cohort structure offers you a built in network for accountability and motivation. Every speaker needs a group of speaker friends. The next cohort program session will begin in May 2024. You can learn more and register in the Attachments and Links tab. For our webinar attendees, you have a special offer of 20% off your first year. Use the code IWWebinar, all caps and all one word, for 20% off. Check it out at innovationwomen.com. And before we get started with today's presentation, I want to encourage you to register for our next webinar on April 30th. Hey, that speaker looks familiar. That is me. I will be presenting the public speaking, the game changer. In this presentation, you'll learn the processes and tactics you need to employ to be selected as a speaker. We'll be also talking about how public speaking impacts your public persona and specific things you can do to kick off a public speaking career or business. You can register for this webinar in the Attachments tab. And speaking of the Attachments tab, this is an annotated version of your screen. Below the video viewing window, there are tabs. The default tab is Ask a Question. You can type in a question or a comment at any time during the program. The tab called Rate This helps us determine what you like. We read all the feedback. You can enlarge your screen to view it in full screen mode. If at any time you need audio help or the screen freezes, try refreshing the page and feel free to click on the help button at the bottom of the screen. Today's webinar is being recorded, so if you'd like to view it again, you will be able to. We'll send you the link after the webinar. And now on to today's presentation. With us today is Noreen Brayman. Noreen is a keynote speaker, workshop presenter, storyteller, author, conference enhancer, and an instructor at the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute at Rutgers University. She uses her training as a certified laughter wellness instructor to specialize in well-being habits to help others build resilience and enhance their well-being. Most recently, her full length version of the Laughter Lightning Round won a 2023 Gold Award from Marcom Awards. You can connect with Noreen in the Attachments tab. Let's get started. Welcome, Noreen. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Bobby, and thank you for everyone in the background doing the tech stuff to help us out today. And let's have some fun and learn some interesting things. So we're going to take a laughter break for the health of it. This is something that I promote for every kind of industry, every kind of working situation, and groups and celebrations, because we don't get enough laughter in our life. And the problem with that is laughter is mandatory, not optional. Laughter is a survival skill. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as we go along. But first, I know that all of us are either thinking about where we just were or where we need to be after this. So let's take a few seconds to just orient ourselves in space and time. We're going to use three questions. What day is today? What's today's date? And where are you right now? You may not check your Google Calendar. You may not check your watch. And you may not look around where you are. You now must close your eyes. We're going to be present. So let's take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. One more. Breathe in and out. And still with your eyes closed, answer this question aloud to yourself. What day of the week is today? Today is, breathe in and out. Our next question, what is today's date? Say it out loud to yourself. Today's date is, breathe in and out. The next question to answer out loud to yourself is, where am I right now? Not where I am in life, not where I am in my career, but where your butt is at this moment. And feel that feet pressing on the floor. And the only space that exists for you right now is within the confines of whatever walls you're inside of. So again, to yourself, say, where am I right now? I am in, and we'll take two more deep breaths. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. And before we start, I'm going to ask Emily to bring up a poll for us. And you can do that as we move on. Before we get into laughter and all that, and while you're filling your poll, let's talk about wellness and well-being, because we hear these two words being used all different ways for all different things, to the point of it becomes ad nauseum. We don't even want to hear anything more about it. And we often wonder, like, so wellness, well-being, they're all the same thing. They really aren't. And what I've done is I've collected definitions, government definitions, kind of seems very official. And wellness is thought of as having several dimensions, including emotional, coping effectively with life and creating satisfying relationships, and physical, recognizing the need for physical activity, healthy foods, and sleep. And you may think that, well, that defines everything that I need to have in my life. Why do I need another definition? Well-being, however, gets left in the dust because most of the time, if you're at a company, we're going to have a wellness program. We're going to take your weight. We're going to put you on the treadmill. We're going to see your blood pressure. Very rarely is someone asking about your mental health. So well-being has developed, the CDC has developed a separate definition that works with the wellness definition. Well-being includes the presence of positive emotions and moods, such as contentment and happiness, the absence of negative emotions, and what I think is the most important point of all, satisfaction with life, fulfillment, and positive functioning. In reality, you cannot have wellness without well-being. No matter how much jogging you do, how much exercising you do, how many diets you go on, if you don't have well-being, you do not have wellness. The interesting part of that is for those of us, and I include myself in this, who may have a chronic condition, wellness is a touch and go thing on a daily basis. But I can have well-being every day, and I do this by doing practices in my life that support my well-being. And again, this was from the CDC. So how do we enhance well-being? You've heard a lot of these things, and I'm just gonna buzz right through them. Mindfulness. Okay, we know about that. We've seen books, we've heard about it. Are we practicing it? Don't know. Meditation comes along with mindfulness. It's very good for your brain. Are we meditating? Maybe yes, maybe no. Exercise. Okay, we all know probably I should exercise more. I should go to the gym. It enhances your well being. Gratitude. Now, here's where we're getting into some of the least less popular things. When we talk about gratitude, we don't mean using our manners that our parents taught us to say please and thank you. That's not gratitude. That's just good manners. To have gratitude and to really help it boost your resilience for your well being, you need to have intention with it. So, 3 things a day written in a journal of what you're grateful for. I have a friend who for 8 years has done this, and during the pandemic, he found himself flipping through his book to find things he was grateful for just to boost himself up a little bit. Now, the reality is that there are gonna be days where the only thing that you can be grateful for is that the day is over. We've all had those days, and that's legitimate. The day is the only if being over with the day is all you're grateful for, that's fine. Go to sleep and hope for a better day tomorrow. Fun with friends is always a great booster for your resilience and well-being, as long as it's interactive. Going to the movies may be fun, but it's not gonna do much for your well-being or your resilience because you're not getting your hormones, and we'll talk about that. Fun at work. I've worked with a lot of companies who definitely have the attitude, "There's no laughter here." If anyone remembers Miss Hannigan from the Annie movie, she comes in and says, "Do I hear happiness in here?" Many workplaces are like that, but there are ways to have fun at work. Unplugging, I'm sure we've all heard of this. Bobby and I just had a fun, little exercise with trying to actually turn my phone off before this because it didn't want to be turned off. I'm getting a little afraid of artificial intelligence when a phone can choose whether or not it's gonna be turned off or not. Volunteering is also a wonderful way to enhance your well-being. In fact, it can almost be a selfish thing. Here's why. When you volunteer and help other people, your brain releases serotonin and endorphins to make you feel good while you're doing this. In fact, then the brain makes you feel good for a while and then takes those endorphins and hormones back and makes you crave the feeling again so that you will go and help someone else again. Me time, as as women, we are often the ones who most complain about not having me time. I'm not saying that our husbands, our significant others, the men we know are not suffering from a loss of me time. But I can tell you that there was a Gallup poll this week that stated that for sleep, women are depriving themselves of sleep at an astronomical rate above men in the United States at this time. If you can't even get sleep for me time, you need to think about how to get some of that going for yourself. Family time. Family time may not be driving to soccer practice and shuttling the kids back and forth. On the other hand, it can be. Some of the biggest laughs I ever had with my children was in the car. And I don't know what it was about it, but it was almost as if the kids then now prepared to tell me all their ridiculous stories or whatever, to the point of like, "Mom, just keep your eyes on the road." So think about those little snippets of time that you can use for your family time. And then, of course, what we're all really here for is the international language of laughter. Laughter's mandatory. Here are three people you may have heard of: Norman Cousins, Dr. Patch Adams, and Dr. Madan Kataria. Norman Cousins wrote the book Anatomy of an Illness because he was diagnosed with something where the doctor said, "Go home and settle your affairs." And he decided, well, I'm not going to get all depressed about this. I'm going to have my Hollywood friends come and bring me movies and show me movies, and I'm going to laugh. And then he found that by laughing with a deep belly laugh for 10 minutes, he was able to sleep 4 hours undisturbed. And whatever it was he had, it went away. He was probably misdiagnosed. But he then started the whole idea of the study of laughter. And what is it really doing for us? And that's a science discipline called gelotology. Dr. Patch Adams, we probably remember Robin Williams playing him in the movie. He really operates the Gesundheit Institute in Virginia. He really does have a big handlebar mustache, and he really does write prescriptions for laughter exercises that he has right there in the hospital. Dr. Madan Kataria took the ideas from Norman Cousins and Dr. Adams and created something called laughter yoga. In the United States, this is still sounds like a weird thing, but basically it uses yoga breathing, pranayama, and laughter exercises that don't rely on jokes and comedy to give people the benefits of laughter. And we'll talk more about that in a bit. So, taking a laughter break reduces your stress, encourages cooperation, and increases creativity. So, teams that work together succeed together. And that was another survey that Gallup took last year. And it was really eye opening for the companies that are like, we're very serious people doing very serious work. A little laughter can go a long way. However, what's appropriate? We'll get to that. The thing to learn today is your brain is not always the boss of you, and don't let it be stingy with the endorphins. So, laughter is a survival skill. Laughter existed before humans had language. We don't know why the limbic brain decided that showing your teeth and making sort of funny sounds, ha, hoo, ha, hoo, would make someone else feel comfortable. But that's exactly what it did. Other animals showing your teeth is dangerous, aggressiveness. But the limbic brain in humans turn that around. We're going to show our teeth, and we're going to show that we can get along together because we have no other way to communicate at this point in our development. So it was not because something was funny. It was because humans needed to show good intent. And as I said, it developed in the limbic brain, which we all still have. Higher primates also laugh for social bonding. Chimpanzees, bonobos, higher level primates. And again, for them, it's not because, as far as we know, we don't know if they're telling each other jokes really. So it's just assumed right now that they're using it just for social bonding. But who knows? We might be missing out on some good comedy. The biggest surprise to me was even rats laugh. It's made me think a lot about my feelings towards rats. If rats laugh for social bonding, they tickle each other to show uh, encouragement and belonging to the crew. It makes me feel okay. I don't want them in my house, but it kind of makes me feel a little bit more akin to them, if truth be told. So, do you know about diabolical baby laughter? Okay, we know that babies like to laugh or smile. And when my children were very young, they would seem to be smiling out of the womb, making a smile. Even with their eyes closed, they were making a pleasant face with a smile. And I told the doctors, the pediatrician, that, and they said, they're not smiling, that's just gas. Guess what? Babies from their limbic brain instinctually smile and laugh, not because anything is funny, but because the, the infant brain is sending a signal to whichever adult or responsible party is in the neighborhood that, look at me, I am so cute, I am smiling, I am laughing. Don't you like me? Don't you want to feed me? How about changing that diaper? And functional MRIs done just in the last couple of years have shown in this interaction with babies that your brain waves and the baby's brain waves start to sync together. Again, it's this kind of experience of the baby really working hard to get taken care of. And you might think, well, of course, we're syncing our brains together. I'm the adult. I'm showing the baby what their brain should be doing. And that's not what's going on. The baby is controlling your brain. So, this is why I call it the diabolical baby laughter, because it's almost like a science fiction story, the baby's mind control over you. So, think about that next time you're holding a laughing baby. They're going to survive. So, when we talk about laughter and doing things that don't rely on jokes and comedy, we start with smiling. And that means a real smile. Okay. We know what fake smiles are. You know, um, it's the politician smile, it's the uh, sometimes people on TV, are fake smiling, even the your commentator on the news or whatever. You could pick it out right away. But smiling when you don't feel like it is not necessarily doing a fake smile. And there are ways that you can help yourself if you try to smile when you don't feel like it. Because smiling, like yawning, like crying, vomiting, can be contagious. And laughter, of course, is contagious. And I just did a program in Philadelphia where there's usually one person who's the champion laugher. I actually had to say, I love the way you're laughing, but I need to put you in the back of the room because no one can hear me talking. Imagine that. But laugh away because I was really pleased that that was happening. But smiling is not universal. I used to tell people, go to the mall. Remember the mall? Go to the mall and smile at people that you pass. Smile at strangers. Listen, they can smile back at you, then they get their good feel good endorphins. You get your feel good endorphins, but if they don't smile back at you, what do you care? You're never going to see them again. Service with a smile. I think a lot of us have heard that. Service with a smile. Okay. That came out as an American practice. When there were lots and lots of people coming in, say to New York and being processed through New York as immigrants. So you had a German baker, you had an Irish cobbler, you had a German seamstress, all looking to provide their services or their goods to the rest of the people in these very crowded neighborhoods. But with language barrier, people were becoming frustrated and embarrassed because they couldn't communicate with each other. And someone, we have no idea who that person was, started to tell the person in their business, when someone comes into the store, smile at them, make them feel comfortable, make hand gestures, and if we don't understand each other, it's even more funny. Okay, we'll figure this out. How do you want the bread sliced? I'll show you. And that became such a thing in American business that even telephone operators and people who spoke to a lot of other people on the phone were told to smile when they were speaking, even though no one could see them, because even speaking with a smile changes the way you sound and come across to other people. And we find that the more diverse a population, the more smiling at strangers. Again, because we may not have any other communication means. In other countries, though, it is sometimes interpreted as flirting and can get people really in trouble. It caused so many problems for Walmart in Germany. Now let's remember, Walmart has those greeters. Hi, welcome to Walmart. Can I help you? Here's a cart, whatever. German culture is a little bit less accepting of that. Oh, well, it was a lot less accepting. And Walmart had to discontinue the Walmart greeters and, in fact, ended up closing quite a few of their stores because people did not like being accosted at the doorway by smiley, friendly people who must have nefarious notions of something. In Norway, I saw something online and I said, oh, it must be true. But I heard that Norway, you cannot smile at strangers, even though they are very friendly and warm in Higa when in the winter, they have no sunlight. But the smiling at strangers bit doesn't work. And in fact, they have two thoughts about people who smile at strangers. The first thought is the person has a mental issue. And then the second thing they thought was, well, they must be American. So again, they just don't like smiling at strangers. And a friend, I thought, well, saw it on the internet. It's probably an exaggeration. I have a friend in Norway, and what they showed, oh, this book is not coming up. Come on. All right. Anyway, there should have been a book picture here, and the book picture shows you 3 stick figures. And the first, there it is. Thank you. Thank you. I love it when somebody's behind me, backing me up. So here you see the first stick figure, happy. Second stick figure, sad. Third stick figure, angry. And if you could read that tiny print of the smiling face, you already know that that person is drunk. And in my heart, I cannot recommend the only way of smiling is to be drunk. But this social guidebook to Norway is an important, humorously written book about how business people can get along with the social conformities in Norway. And that only is one example of many countries. So, how can we create laughter without relying on jokes or comedy or smiling at strangers? Professor McGee wrote a college textbook on this. So, what we want to think about is how can you surround yourself with humor? Hmm. How can I cultivate a playful attitude? Hmm. How could we use props for comic relief? Okay, a red nose works really good. If you're from New Jersey, you know it's crazy driving on the turnpike and Route 1 and Route 130 and Parkway. If you have a red nose in your dash and someone cuts you off, gives you that Jersey salute, or does something, or perhaps at the rare occasion, maybe you've cut somebody off and they're not happy with you, you pop on that red nose, one of two things will happen. They will clear the road for you because that's a I don't even want to go near that person, or they will laugh and smile at you, and either way, you've gotten rid of the tension. So again, we want to laugh more often, but how can we do that? Find humor in daily life. So now we're getting more towards some of the things you can do as a practice for your resilience. Surrounding yourself with humor and having a playful attitude can all be combined into finding humor in daily life and taking yourself lightly. I say save this list because this is something you need to think about in your own life. How can you do this? I surround myself with humor a lot by having funny books or comics or different things that just, they're not laugh out loud, but when I see them, I smile. And having a playful attitude is always helpful because you can think of things sort of, gamify things that you need to do in your life, and the props and taking yourself lightly. So let's get more into this. Grab a paper and pen, and I'm going to ask you to just write an X for every type of humor you like. If you don't like it, don't make a mark. So let's start with amusing humor. Do you like amusing humor? And that's whatever amusing way you define. Okay. Let's talk about puns. Do you like puns? Make an X. Let's see. Let's go to number 3. How about sarcastic humor? Do you like that? Do you not like that? Um, how about quirky humor? All right. How about okay, let's go to junior high. Gross humor. How do you like gross humor? And then there can be X-rated humor. There can be poor soul humor. And think about maybe some of the older comics who played sad sack characters. And that was part of being comedy. Self-deprecating humor. How about that? Okay. How about weird humor? No, some magazines have weird cartoons in them that I just don't get, and other people think they're really funny. How about childlike humor? Right, that gives us 10. Let's go for, I think we're going for 5 more. Let's try dad jokes. How about dad jokes? Okay. How about humor, jokes with a lesson? So a joke with a lesson is trying to teach us something in a funny way. Sometimes doesn't work so well. All right. Then be there could be silly humor, silly jokes, silly laughter. There can be mean-spirited laughter. And last, we'll go with the letter Z, zany humor. So score your answers, see what your score comes to, and then we're going to give you a poll to fill it in. And when that poll is done, we'll get you your answers and we'll see what kind of humor struck you, if whether it's 3 things, 4 things, 0 things. So the poll is up. Go ahead and take a look at it. So that was a sense of humor test. A sense of humor is what makes us laugh. It's how we find things funny. And here's the whole thing about a sense of humor. Rarely in any group, especially larger groups, do all attendees find the same type of humor appealing. I've asked people in person to stand up for something they consider funny and sit down for the things they don't. And you have this kind of dichotomy of people up and down and up and down. I can't recall a time where every single person in the entire group stood up for the same kind of humor. There were some people who would stand up for everything, and that's fine. But this shows you that others may not only not share your sense of humor, they may be offended. So, telling jokes may not be the best thing to do in a workplace, social gathering, or public speaking, especially in public speaking. Many of us are advised tell a joke to warm up the crowd. If you don't know the crowd, if you aren't used to telling a joke, if you haven't tried it out, you can end up doing the opposite of warming up the crowd. You could turn them against you. So be very careful about telling a joke at the start of a speech. So, how can we share laughter and get other people in it? Well, laughter exercises do this, and they can be very helpful for those in stressful situations, especially children. Because, again, as we're going to see, laughter exercises do not require jokes and comedy. There's one thing I want to tell you about humor and grief because I never understood this. When I was a younger person and a family had a loss and there were funerals that we would go to, on an occasion, I would hear people laughing and my mother would poke me and said, "That's very rude, very disrespectful, and don't ever do that." And then I heard a story about a Metuchen firefighter who we don't know his situation, but he had time to decide he was going to orchestrate everything, including his tombstone. On his tombstone, it says, "Laugh, don't weep. It feels better." And on the top of his tombstone are the heads of the Three Stooges. His favorite kind of humor, slapstick. Not my favorite, but his favorite. And his family and his friends got a lot of comfort out of that. But I didn't know how much far reaching this was until there was an unfortunate incident in New York City when 4 firefighters fell through a floor and all died. At their memorial service, which was on television, one of the sons got up and said, "I know everyone loved my father, and we're going to miss him terribly. But I saw something this week that I want to share with you because I think this describes my father." And then he went into describing the Metuchen firefighters' grave and what's on it. And he said, "That was my dad. My dad wanted you to laugh. My dad wanted you to have fun." He says, "If you do anything for his memory, please do that." And this is what that tombstone looks like. It's for real. You can find it in New Jersey, in Metuchen. And it made me realize that, and I found out through research that your amygdala, people talk about their amygdala so much retaining trauma. Guess what? Your amygdala retains laughter. If you have a loved one that you've lost and you have memories of laughing with that person, they come back to you in a much stronger memory and in a much closer way. And unfortunately, I had reason to practice that recently when we lost a good friend at a young age. But he was laughter all the time. That was him. And it's helped us, his family, and his friends. So don't be afraid to laugh in grief because it's going to help you. It's going to help your memories stay really well placed in your brain and honors the person. This is a favorite saying of mine, that there is a thin line that separates laughter and pain, comedy and tragedy, humor and hurt. And that was written by someone known more for her comedy than being serious. And that person was Irma Bombeck. So let's talk now about the laughter advantages. We've had a nice introduction about what laughter does, where it can be, what we can do with it, what do we like it. But again, why is it mandatory? It's mandatory because it benefits both physical and psychological health. One of the few things that gets you on both sides. It helps your blood pressure, it helps your blood sugar, it gives you aerobic exercise. And even what we call pretend laughter convinces your brain to release the endorphins. I mentioned that teams that laugh together succeed together. They're more productive, the leaders are more successful, but how do you share the laughter? Reframe a personal story as today's disaster could be tomorrow's funny story, like my phone that would not allow me to turn it off. We were in a panic that it was going to ring during this presentation if I couldn't turn it off. Finally, we got it to work. Dad jokes. Dad jokes are great icebreakers if you have to tell a joke in a meeting because you know everyone's going to groan and move on and really like it, even though they won't tell you. And what we'd like to do now, laughing together as an exercise. So this is the most important thing to take away from this presentation. Laughter helps to build your resilience for the times when nothing is funny. That's the most important point of all of this. We're going to do laughter exercises for resilience, not comedy. We're going to breathe. We're going to laugh. We're going to move. And I am going to teach you where laughter lives in your body. So 3 laughter sounds. Ha, ha, ha. Ho, ho, ho. Ha, ha, ha. He, he. Ho, ho, ho lives in your diaphragm, a place you're not breathing very much from. Ha, ha, ha lives in your lower lungs. Again, another place not getting inflated very much. He lives up here where we are most of the time, talking breathing, whatever. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a deep breath. We're going to find our diaphragm and we're going to go, ho, ho, ho. We're going to take a deep breath, put our hands in our lower lungs, he. And then we're going to put our hands up to our throat where we're always talking. And it's he. And if I didn't say them in the right order, it's ho, 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 ha, he. Because you can make a mistake in a presentation. Nobody knows. So let's try it. Deep breath in, forceful ho, ho, ho. Breathe in. Ho, ho, ho. Again. Ho, ho, ho. And the third time, ho, ho, ho. Excellent. Now the second one, ha, ha, ha. Breathe in. Ha, ha, ha. Breathe in. Ha, ha, ha. And then the third one, breathe in. He. Breathe in. He. Breathe in. He. Okay, so that was the practice. Now we're going to do it all in one. We're going to remember to breathe and do things to your tolerance, your physical ability. And then we're going to do it all at once. Ho, ho, ho. Ha, ha, ha. He. Oh, okay. One thing very, very important. And it's a little harder to do this when we're on this kind of relationship, but I will look into the camera so that you can look me in the eyes because eye contact is very, very important. And the most important thing about this exercise is the last part. It's ho, 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 ha, 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 he. Look into the camera. Wee! All right. So we're going to do this 3 times. Ready? And let's go. Breathe in. Ho, ho, ho. Ha, ha, ha. He. Wee! Ho, ho, ho. Ha, ha, ha. He. Wee! Ho, ho, ho. Ha, ha, ha. He. Wee! Now, I would like you, if you have a Fitbit or something else that shows your pulse, I'd like you to take your pulse or do it the old fashioned way in your neck. I have a resting pulse of about 65. Just sitting here doing this exercise 3 times has brought my mine up to 85. Probably a little bit higher for me because I'm also teaching you, but this is aerobic exercise. It's not cardio, but it's aerobic. So what you've done now is you've fooled your brain into releasing endorphins. Nothing was funny on purpose, but it's releasing endorphins, it's releasing serotonin, it's getting your heart rate up to oxygenate your blood, and you've been just sitting here. Imagine if you were in a laughter yoga class and we're doing things like this for 45 minutes. So, the best thing about these kind of exercises, you consider stand. You're going to fake it till you make it just by using the laughter sounds. And you remember your childlike playfulness because I'm going to tell you how many times, think about it, back in grammar school, kindergarten, did someone say to someone in your class, or maybe you, what are you laughing at? And as they said to Jerry Seinfeld, what are you going to be, a comedian? Again, laughing for the pure joy of it. And the thing is with the laughter exercises, this isn't going to the gym. This isn't cardio fitness. This is no new pain, and you move only as tolerated. And again, we made eye contact to feel how our endorphins can increase by having eye contact with each other. And my last thing for you is that Norman Cousins said, laughter is a powerful way to tap positive emotions. So he knew that something was going on during his illness. he understood that laughter was doing something with his body. It's been, oh, I'd say maybe 60 or 70 years since his experience, in which we have found out how important laughter really is, how it really was the first real communications before humans had language, how it releases endorphins and serotonin and other hormones to make you feel better. This is important because the release of those hormones helps you raise your resilience. What is resilience? Resilience is the ability to bounce back from unpleasant things, a bad experience, something tragic, something annoying. Every time you have an uncomfortable, bad experience, you reduce your resilience. And we now know that to build that resilience back up to a healthy level, you need 3, 4, maybe 5 well-being building incidents, exercises to bring yourself back. So if you're in a position, and we've all been this way, that where the hits are coming, just coming, 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 and they're hitting us, and we just can't get out of it. This is why our resilience has been beat out of us, and we have to really work to get it back. And we have a habit in our house of watching comedians on Netflix after we've had a bad day, because we have no energy left to do anything else but watch the tube. But it does help. It really does help. And that's the end of my presentation. And if you have questions, I know we're going to start doing that. And I'm all ready for that.
Hello. He, ha, ha, ha. Ho, ho, ho. Wee. Okay, enough of that. How did you ever get started doing laughter as a presentation? Like, how getting started doing presentations about laughter, I guess.
So I've always been a writer, and I spent my entire high school senior year having independent English, which meant I could read satire the whole time. That was my whole thing. And I thought, this is me. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a satire writer. And I sort of had that going along and was writing things, whatever. But then I took a job with the Lawyer's Assistance Program, which is a program that helps attorneys who have mental health and substance use and whatever. And my boss got a fax. Remember fax? That said, send your recovery counselors for laughter yoga training, can help people in recovery. And instead of telling one of the counselors to do this, he gave it to me. So I came back from that. I was like, oh, you can't believe what I learned. Then during the same summer, there was a meeting called a Chautauqua, and that was all about laughter and humor. And then I went to Rutgers and actually studied the psychology of humor. And that was it. That
Right.
was it. I had to start. It became my mission. I had to share this. I couldn't believe it. So that's how I got started.
Wait a minute. You mentioned laughter yoga. What is that?
So laughter yoga from Madan Kataria started off when he realized that humor and laughter could help his patients. He was a medical doctor. So he told all his patients, let's go down to the park in Mumbai and let's tell each other jokes before we go to work in the morning. And the first day, everybody laughed. Great jokes. Second day, yeah, maybe not so funny jokes. Third day, puns. And the fourth day probably was risque humor. And he realized, I can't maintain this. So he did some research and created these laughter exercises, the sample of which we just did here, to just make laughter sounds, to do movement. And he turned it into a whole program. However, when you tell people it's laughter yoga, people think we're going to have to get on a mat and we're going to have to lay down and put that feet over our head and we have to laugh. And how can we do that? That's not what it is. So this is why it's sort of converted here in the United States to laughter wellness. And I'm a laughter wellness instructor, not a laughter yoga instructor, because that doesn't get me in the door.
Makes sense. Okay. And folks, we just have a few more minutes. If you want to drop more questions into the chat, use that Ask a Question tab. And how can we learn more about laughter and humor?
So there's an organization called the Association for Applied and Therapeutic Humor, which I am a member of. We're the people who are serious about laughter. And they have, if their website is aath.org. If you go there, you can learn a lot of things about laughter. They have resources that you could pull up, papers that have been written, a lot of really good stuff that can help you understand why you need laughter and maybe why you might want to share it.
Okay.
And that's what I recommend. And of course, you can always contact me.
And your contact information is in the information tab, folks. And I did want to share with everybody that in our polls, we had almost 80% of the people saying 9 to 12. You're almost there.
Ah.
So we didn't have a lot of you'll laugh at anything, folks, but we definitely had a whole bunch of 9 to 12. You're almost there, folks. We did have a few smirkers in the crowd. So, and we had nobody who would claim to be a tough person to make laugh. So
So
good
no
job.
lawyers in the audience,
Oh
apparently.
no, don't you work with lawyers?
Yes, yes, and you haven't lived until you see 200 lawyers dressed for court, standing up and doing a laughter exercise.
All right.
That made my life.
Okay. And almost half of our attendees today said yes, they have already laughed for the health of it. Oh, I have to be careful with that one. Very definitely. All right. So we are at the end of our time today. And I definitely wanted to thank you, Noreen, for joining us. And just so everybody knows that our sessions are sponsored by Lioness Magazine for the female entrepreneur and also My Speaker Leads. It is a research service for professional speakers. And again, if you are interested in joining Innovation Women, check us out, innovationwomen.com. And you can also use the code all caps, all one word, IW webinar for 20% off. And again, thank you, Noreen. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we will see you all soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Yee!
Whee!